Hi everybody, I'm Joel Andrew and welcome to my kitchen. There's three things that I love in life: my friends, my food, and my music. So before we get cooking, let's get some tunes. They say music soothes the savage beast, but rock and roll always gets me going. Today we're going to do some cooking, and one of the things that I've learned how to do is cook food two ways: a heart attack in a pan and very healthy. So today we're going to do a demonstration for both those items, and we're going to use chicken, sun-dried tomatoes, garlic, basil, tomatoes, parsley, pine nuts, Romano cheese, and we're going to make a delicious meal. So let's get started. First thing we need to do is boil some water. Let's get this on the fire. Start her up. Salt your pasta water. There we go. And we'll bring that to a boil. Now our next step is to get ready with the pine nuts and to begin one of the dishes. Some extra virgin olive oil into the Teflon pan for the pine nuts. That's plenty. Now all I'm going to do is toast these a little bit. I want to get them just golden brown. Swish them around in that olive oil for a second. Now this is a nice smoked bacon with some honey cure on it. And these pine nuts are done. They're off the heat. Okay, let's go do some more prep. Okay, this bacon's done. Nice and crisp, but not burnt. We'll pull that right out and set this aside for a moment. Now our pine nuts have cooled down enough so I can take them out of this pan. We're going to hold these aside. They're going to get used in both dishes. Now I don't need all of the excess bacon fat, so I'm going to dump some of it and just retain the coating on the bottom of the pan. Well, we've got one more really important ingredient we've got to get: the chicken. Now I'm using a second cutting board. You don't want to cross-contaminate your primary board with the residue from chicken, which sometimes has salmonella. So these are beautiful boneless thighs. I like boneless thighs a lot. Very easy to use. I'm just going to trim up a little of the extra fat. Don't need that. And now, because we've got linguine, I want to cook this in thin strips, just like the sun-dried tomatoes and like the onions. And we're just going to finish this right up now. Last few pieces. And there we go. Beautiful. Okay, I've washed my hands and I've washed my knife, and I'm going to take the chicken and just set it aside for now. All right, that chicken's ready to go. And now I want to prepare our salads before I start the final stage of cooking the meal. This salad's going to be wonderful with some fabulous medium-sized tomatoes, the basil, and we've got some mozzarella cheese. This is fresh mozzarella. And just like I paid attention to the shapes of the different items that we're going to go in with the linguine, I try to size the mozzarella so it matches up with the tomatoes. And it'll look very, very nice on the plate. And a few of these beautiful fresh basil leaves. Nice and pretty, like that. Now on these salads, a very, very light sprinkling of some of this chunky garlic. Would be a nice flavor hit. Well, cook's privilege. Now we're going to use store-bought fresh pasta today. We don't want it to go in a clump, so we're just going to pull it apart a little tiny bit as it goes into the water. Let a little of the water off. It's beautiful. All right, there we go. That's all set. We're going to leave that in the colander, just like that. And I'm going to put the cap on it. There we go. That's ready for later. All right, we're ready to cook. Let's fire up our stove again. We got the residue from the bacon and a little coating of bacon fat. Extra virgin olive oil. Let's let these get up to temperature. All right, I can tell from the oil that we're just about up to temperature. We'll start out with some garlic. Now, these are two different dishes, as we've talked about. The flavors are different. The full bore dish is going to get about 1/3 of this remaining garlic, which is the equivalent to perhaps 2 medium cloves, while our healthy dish is going to get the equivalent of probably 4 or 5 medium cloves. A few onions. I'll split these about half and half, like so. Drop in the chicken. And take a look at how these dishes are starting to look different. Olive oil, very clean. And look at the singe from the bacon. That flavor is starting to go in a very different direction now, as the pan has been deglazed by the chicken's natural juices. Now we can re-add the bacon, which I reserved. I did coarsely chop it. We'll add the sun-drieds, about half and half. These are really lovely. And now this magnificent toasted pine nuts, been soaking in their olive oil. And the flavor that these are going to introduce, it's really something. I'm going to go a little heavier on the pine nuts in our healthy dish. And almost all of the olive oil from the pine nuts is going to go into that one. The juice of half a lemon and some white wine goes into the heart healthy and low cholesterol dish. Now a little heavy cream goes into our heart attack in a pan. Now we're ready to introduce the pasta into both. It's been sitting and waiting for us. Black pepper, plenty of it. Fresh grated Romano cheese. The last thing I like to do is put a little parsley garnish on. And now let's dress these salads. A little olive oil and vinegar. So, we're about, who could that be? Steve, what brings you here?
Hey Joe, how you doing?
Nice to see you. What are you doing?
Well, I wanted to play a little song for you. I wrote one last night.
Get out.
Frying Pan Blues.
Frying Pan Blues. Well, you're just right at the right time. I got 2 frying pans, and we got your plate right here.
Outstanding.
All right. Let's get some wine for you. Cheers, Steve. Thanks for coming over.
Always a pleasure.
Let's get our cameraman Dave in here. He's got a meal and a glass of wine, too.
Yeah, come on,
Thanks
Dave.
for watching, everybody.
Let's eat. Sometimes I feel like a dish rag, all wrung out. I go to Joe's kitchen to check out what he's got. He gets me out of the place I call my culinary rut. They used to call me Onion Head, I used to make them cry. But tasting Joe's food, it brings me to a brand new height. You cannot pass up this chance to give his child a try. Well, Joel, it's great, man. Your food's fantastic.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks for the meal.
Thanks for the tune.
Thanks for feeding me.
Thanks for coming over.
Wish you the best of luck. Cheers.
Best friends, great
Cheers, bud.
tunes, great food. Come back anytime.